Straight all day.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you're expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That's the go-getter energy that moves you, me, him, her, them, and they to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one master class. This show right here, it is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic, I've been teasing this topic for the last couple master classes. I told you it was coming. If I tell you that I'm putting something out, damn it, I'm putting it out. And here it is today, the topic, discernment. That is today's topic, discernment. If you don't know what that is, I'll give you the definition right now. It is the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well. Let me give you that definition one more time because this is the whole topic we're talking about here today. Discernment is defined as the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well. In other words, when you do not have all the information, when it is not a black and white situation, when there's a little bit of gray matter you're dealing with, when you just had to make a choice, make a decision, and there is not necessarily a clear right or wrong decision to make, the judgment that you make, the choice that you make, the perceptions that you have, the way that you choose to look at a situation when it could be looked at from many different angles, this is all under the umbrella of discernment. And people with the sharpest discernment, usually they end up with the best outcomes. They usually end up with the highest achievements, the most accomplishments, and the most success in life. The skill of discernment usually comes from experience. Good judgment is a result of bad judgment. Experience is a result of judgments, period. Usually bad judgments. Usually we don't call it experience when things are going great. We call it experience when things are not going so great. But you develop your skill of discernment through going through things, period. Whether it's good things or bad things. In masterclass number 1139, I told you that it takes more than hard work to be successful in life. This was actually a talk that I gave at the largest independent book retailer in South Florida called Books and Books. And the first point, there were 8 specific points that I gave in that talk, where I told you 8 things that are more important than hard work. And yes, this is a person who owns a brand called Work on Your Game. I'm telling you there are 8 things in life that are more important than hard work. The number one thing, more important than hard work, I just talked about this a lot yesterday, choosing wisely. Yesterday's topic was choosing your education. You choose unwisely when it comes to your education, you could do a whole lot of choosing and get a whole lot of nothing when it comes to the results. In life, if you have poor discernment, you have very poor judgment. Your perceptions are off. You think you're perceiving something, but you're not actually perceiving what you thought you were perceiving. Those will lead to outcomes that you don't want. So you really need to pay attention to sharpening your perception, sharpening your judgment, and making some good decisions in life. And usually you don't know if you made a good decision or not until later on down the line. So this is something that this topic here today is one of those gray areas. Again, this is not a black and white thing. It's not like if you do this, it's smart, and if you do this, it's bad. Many times in life, you don't know if you made a good or bad decision again until you get later on down the line. But there are decisions that you make along the way. After you make the big decision, there are micro decisions that go underneath that decision that can help shape the big decision into becoming a good one or a bad one. For example, I decided to invest my time and a lot of my life into playing basketball. But it wasn't just because I decided to play basketball that basketball turned out to be a successful endeavor for me. I had to make a whole lot of smart decisions underneath the umbrella of basketball itself, right? I chose to play basketball. So one of the small decisions underneath basketball, I had to decide to show up to the court every day outdoors and work on my game to try to get better. Then I had to decide to keep trying even after I got cut from my high school team for the 3rd year in a row. Then I had to decide to go and walk on and earn my way onto a team in college when nobody knew me, I wasn't recruited, and I wasn't invited. Then I had to decide to keep working on my game every day in the off season that summer after my freshman year of college, which led to the lucky meeting that I had with the coach that ended up recruiting me to a different college. Then I had to decide to keep working on my game even after I was not on the basketball team the last year and a half of college, and continue to pursue my goal of being a professional player, even though no one from my school had ever made it there. And I wasn't even on the basketball team. What reason would I have to even think that? But I had to make that decision. So then when I was working a regular job, quote unquote, after graduating from college, I had to decide to keep working on my game, save up my money to finally get a chance to go to an exposure camp, which I had to decide to be looking for in the first place to even get the opportunities. You see all these small micro decisions that I had to make within the big decision that I made? And all of these were matters of perception. They were all matters of judgment. And had I had the wrong perception or had poor judgment at any point along this way, maybe I would not have ended up being who I became. Maybe you wouldn't be listening to me right now. So just because you make one good decision does not mean every decision that follows that up is going to be a good decision. So you make the big decision that, okay, I'm going to go in this direction, but you still got to make a whole lot of smart decisions underneath that along the way. Choosing wisely is the most important aspect of creating success in your life or creating failure in your life that there is. You make good choices, you end up with a good life, good career, good outcomes. You make bad choices, bad life, bad career, or maybe no career, bad outcomes. Look at your own life and you'll see it for yourself. When you made bad choices, what happened? And when you made good choices, what happened? Discernment as to what to do with your 5 investments. The 5 forms of investment in life: time, money, attention, energy, focus. You do smart things with your time, your money, your attention, your energy, and your focus. What happens? If you do stupid things with your time, money, attention, energy, focus, what happens? If you make errors in judgment with your time, money, attention, energy, and focus, what happens? Bad choices in these areas cannot be undone with hard work. Allow me to repeat myself. Bad choices that you make with your time, with your money, with your attention, your energy, and your focus. You make enough bad choices or a bad enough choice with any of those things, you cannot hard work your way out of that bad decision. In other words, it doesn't mean that your life is over. Doesn't mean your career is over. Doesn't mean you don't have another chance. What it means is bad decision with your time, money, attention, energy, focus. You're just going to have to take that L, as we say. L meaning, the letter L meaning loss. You're just going to have to take a loss on that. All right, I made a bad decision dating this girl for the last 2 years. You can't hard work your way to get those 2 years back. All right, it's over. They're gone. Forget about it. You make a bad decision as to who you associate with, the people you hang with, and you end up in a bad situation because your name is involved. All right, you can't undo that bad situation. It's done. It happened. It's on your record forever. You make a bad decision with your energy and say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. All right, you're stuck with that. That happened. It's just going to sit there for the rest of your life. You may regret it. You may try to do everything you can to make it up to yourself or whoever may be involved, but you're stuck with that thing having happened. It's always going to be there no matter what. You can't undo that. I'm telling you that to tell you this. Hard work cannot undo bad choices. Now, if you're not so great at working hard, maybe for the first 5 years of your career, you can't get those 5 years back. But you can make the next 5 years way better than the first 5 years just by making some better choices. You can undo bad work with good choices. You cannot undo bad choices with great work. Do you understand me? That's why choosing wisely is more important than hard work. Now let's get into our points. Number 1, today's topic once again is discernment. Your ability to obtain sharp perceptions and to judge well. Number 1, discernment leads to choices. Your perceptions and your judgments leads to the choices that you make, right? Because we all perceive things differently. I could look at something and say, that's a great idea. You can look at it and say, it's a terrible idea. Somebody else could look at it and say, I don't give a damn about the idea because I'm not doing anything involved in that. I'm walking away, I'm going the other direction. Discernment leads to the choices that you make. And choices make up your life, as I just explained in the introduction to this show. I chose at one point to stop playing baseball and start playing basketball. Later on, I chose to stop playing basketball and focus 100% on business. There was a point early in my life, even before basketball, actually during basketball, that I chose to get involved in this whole internet thing that was coming around. I got my parents got the first computer in our house probably around 1997-ish. And I got on that computer and I saw what it was and I actually liked it. I don't know, I had a natural inclination for it. So I just stayed on the computer. I've been on the computer ever since. I chose at some point to make this show come out every single day. Well, I know the point that I chose. That was April 2016 when it started. I said, I'm going to put the show out every day. Nobody else is doing a solo show with brand new content every single day but me. I'm going to do it every day. You choose your friends. I've had people come to me and say, well, Dre, I got a whole bunch of people around me. They're losers and not serious and not trying to get better. What am I supposed to do? I say, well, why the hell did you choose them as friends? And why are they still your friends? You got to the point that you can even describe why they're not good, but you're still hanging around them. Then you're making bad choices. You are choosing to continue to be around them, even though you have discerned that they're not the right type of people. All right, what sense does that make? What is wrong with this picture? You choose where and how you spend your discretionary time. Maybe right now you're in school. All right, you're basically committed to being in school for 8 hours a day. If you're in what do they call that? Primary education, whatever they call it. If you're in college, you got certain classes that you got to take. If you plan on graduating and passing your classes, you got a certain amount of hours you got to give to your classes every day, and a certain amount you got to study every week. You're pretty much committed to that. If you're in school, we're going to assume that you want to graduate, you want to get good grades, you're committed to a certain amount of time in school. If you have a job or you run a business, you are committed to a certain amount of time at that job, a certain amount of time at that business to make that business work, right? If you have children, then you're committed to a certain amount of time you're going to have to give to the raising of your kids, spending time with your kids, quality time with them, maybe even your significant other, same thing. There's a certain commitment of time you got to give to that. If you are a human being listening to this right now, so I'm assuming that nobody has their machine learning apparatus listening to me and telling you what I said, but you're actually listening to it yourself. If you are a human being, then Mother Nature requires, biology requires that you spend a certain amount of time resting, sleeping. Some of you sleep, 4 hours a day. Some of you get 8, 9, 10 hours a day. But there's a certain amount of time you must give your body must give to rest. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to function, right? So there's a certain amount of time you got to commit to your work or your school, to your family, and to biology, to nature, right? For rest. Now, whatever time is remaining, we call that discretionary time. Now, that's the time you can do whatever you want. Discretionary money is the money that's left over after you pay your bills and pay the government and pay anything that you owe to anybody else. Whatever money you got left, it could be $10, it could be $1,000, it could be $1 million. Whatever you got left, that's your discretionary income or discretionary funds, right? What you do with your discretionary resources plays a huge role in where you end up in life. Yesterday's masterclass, what did we talk about? Choosing your education. Even when you are in school, you're being educated, right, for X number of hours a day, week, month, year. But if all you do, and this is the way that I always thought, if all I did when I was in school was I would look around, every class I was in, I would look around and I would see 30, 40, 150 other students sitting in the same room as me. And we're all learning from the same teacher. We're all reading from the same book. We're all listening to the same lecture, and we're all taking the same test. So this is the way that I always thought about it. I thought to myself, well, look, if all of these motherfuckers are learning the same shit that I'm learning from the same person out of the same book, the same amount of time every day, how am I ever going to be better than them? We all learn the same shit. So we all going to be pretty much equal if this is all that we all do. If each of us does the same thing, which is what school is teaching us, how am I going to get ahead of anybody? Because we all learn the same information. I got to learn some other stuff outside of this. That's the only way I'm going to get ahead of these other 30 people in this classroom. Some of them might actually be smarter than me. I need to go get some more information. I need to either catch up to them or surpass them or widen the gap between me and them if I'm already ahead of them. Maybe I'm smarter than a couple of them. But I always looked at it that way. When I was playing ball, I talked about this in my book, Work on Your Game. If you don't have my book, Work on Your Game, go to workonyourgamebook.com. I said, I noticed that all the basketball players, all the kids who played basketball, let's say in my neighborhood, they all came outside around 6 o'clock in the evening in Philadelphia, because that's when the sun went down. That's when it was not too hot, but it was still warm outside. We're talking summertime here, and played basketball. Everybody was outside at that time. So I said to myself, how am I ever going to get ahead of these guys or catch up to many of these guys if all I'm doing is playing basketball the same amount of time that they're playing basketball? I got to play basketball more than they're playing basketball so I can catch up to the people who are better than me, and I can surpass the people who I'm equal to, and I can make a bigger gap between the people who I'm already better than. That's the only way I can get ahead of them is I got to do more than what they're doing. I can't do the same thing that they're doing. So my discretionary time, so let's just say they're playing pickup basketball at the park in Philly was everybody's job from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock every night, right? That was our 3 hours of work time. That was our careers, right? Playing ball in the street and the playground where that is. So I knew that I need to use my discretionary time. That was the rest of the day. I got to practice basketball more so I can catch up. in school, I was thinking the same thing. I can't just read the textbook that everybody else has. Shit, how am I going to get smarter than them if we all reading the same textbook? We all got the same information. How am I going to be better than somebody if we all doing the exact same thing? Makes no sense. I know a basketball trainer who used to work with NBA players, and he said Michael Jordan, when he was playing, the Bulls would have practice at, let's say, 8 o'clock. Michael Jordan would get to the gym at like 6 o'clock, and he would have a trainer put him through a really rough workout, tough workout, for maybe an hour or so. Then Jordan would go into the locker room, put his outside street clothes back on, go outside to the parking lot, and sit in his car. And he would wait until the other players, his teammates, showed up for practice. And then when he saw other guys showing up for practice, Mike would get out of his car and walk into the locker room as if he had just arrived the same as everybody else. So he understood this. He didn't explain it, but he understood this. And he understood the only way I'm going to get ahead of these guys or stay ahead of these guys or move ahead of these guys, I got to do more than them. But he didn't announce it. He didn't tell everybody, because if he had told everybody, what might have happened? Michael understood, well, if I tell everybody, if I tell Scottie Pippen that I'm doing this, then shit, Scottie might start showing up early. Now, how am I going to get ahead of Scottie? So Michael said, let me just keep this on the low. He did it on his own. And you all know who Michael Jordan is, do you not? Masterclass 1217. You choose where and how you spend your discretionary resources, and that choice is pretty much reflected in what you have in your life right now. In aggregate, ladies and gentlemen, these choices that you make shape all of your life. 100%. Look at your life right now. If you are age 21 or older, almost all of your life is choice-based. And when I say all of your life, I don't mean the things that you're going to do tomorrow. I mean everything that you have in your life right now, the things you want and the things you don't want, are pretty much based on the choices that you yourself have made. If you're under the age of 21, then a certain percentage of your life may not be choice-based. There's genetics, there's the family that you were born into, there's the neighborhood that you were raised in, there's the roof that you live under. If you're living under someone else's roof, you're not paying any bills. You don't have too much control over those things. By the time you get to around age 21, I'm assuming that's around the age where you start to be a little bit more independent. We'll just use that as an average. Some of you do it earlier, some of you do it later, but you get the point. Once you become an adult, 100% of your life is choice-based. So anything that is in your life, so let's say you're age 21, you're age 20 right now, and you're turning 21 tomorrow, all right? And at age 20, a whole lot of your life it was given to you, it's handed to you, it's just the way that it was. And maybe some parts you like, some parts you don't like. Tomorrow when you turn 21, it's not like it goes from 0 to 100. The thing is, when you become an adult, the point that you're calling yourself a man or a woman, a grown man or a grown woman, you got to take control over those choices. You got to take control over everything that's in your life, and you can make choices to change the things that you don't like. So if you grew up in a neighborhood that you think is not conducive to your success, when you start calling yourself a grown man or a grown woman, all right, now you got to make the choice to get out of that neighborhood and move to a different environment. You don't like your family members, you don't think they're really angled towards success, you got to make the choice to go get some new friends and get some new associates as soon as you start calling yourself a grown man or a grown woman. All right, you can't call yourself an adult, grown man / grown woman, yet you are still blaming anything other than yourself for the circumstances of your life, because as an adult, you have the power of choice. If you don't feel like you have the power of choice, then you can't also be an adult. Those don't go together. Okay, they don't mix. They're oil and water. Adults have the power of choice. You cannot be an adult complaining about your situation as if you have no control over it. You have control. Even if your control is just changing the way that you think about a situation, that is control. Every one of us, anyone here who considers himself an adult, you are living out your judgments and your choices. Point number 2. Today's topic is discernment, the ability to obtain sharp perceptions and or to judge well. Discernment also involves, this is point number 2, discernment also involves solving mysteries. Solving mysteries is about mental sharpness, or what some of us call, if you know the lingo, we call this being on point. You know what it means to be on point? I talked about this in masterclass number 387. The topic is how to be on point. So if you don't know what it means, go listen to masterclass 387. Your game group member is available to you. Just go in there. You know how to find it. It's in there. Solving mysteries, mental sharpness. Many times in life, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be shown something that is not perfectly clear. In other words, somebody's going to give you some information that's not 100% of the information, or somebody's going to tell you something that you don't quite understand exactly what they're saying. You're going to see something and you're not quite sure what you're seeing. You're going to have to make a judgment call. You know what I'm talking about when I say make a judgment call? Meaning it's not a black and white thing. There's no scientific formula for you to figure out what the right, quote unquote, right decision is. You're going to have to make a judgment call. And that's the point where you're going to have to decipher what is really going on here. I heard what this person said, but what are they really saying? What did they not say? What do they want me to understand, but they don't want to say it explicitly? Understand that life is not going to be black and white. Many of the people that you deal with are not going to come out and just straight up tell you exactly what's on their mind. You're going to have to decipher some things that are never going to be said to you. You're going to have to learn how to read in between the lines. Hear what is not being said. See what is not being shown to you. This is all under the umbrella of discernment, ladies and gentlemen. Solving the mysteries. And I want you to understand something. Making mistakes and delays in this area of solving mysteries, oh yeah, they're going to cost you. Now, I already told you that you develop sharp discernment by making mistakes. You develop sharp discernment by going through making a judgment, and that judgment ended up being a wrong judgment. So I'm telling you here in point number 2 that mistakes and delays will cost you in discernment. And you're thinking to yourself, well, if it's going to hurt me and make things worse for me, Dre, but you're telling me I'm not always going to be right in making judgment calls and seeing what's really going on in the place. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do. Accept the fact that you're not a God. You're not clairvoyant. You're not going to get everything right all the time. You will make mistakes in judgment. You will make errors in judgment. You will make mistakes with your discretionary resources, and you're going to go through learning periods. You're going to go through some processes of learning. A lot of times we learn when we lose. We don't learn a lot when we win. It's just human nature. When we win, we get full of ourselves. We start smelling our own shit, as they say, or smelling our own urine, as they say. We start thinking that our shit is just so good that we can't possibly make a mistake when we're winning. That's just the way we do it. That's what human beings do. Okay, it's not a male, female, about a race, religion, color, or creed. It's just how we are as humans. We learn a lot more when we lose than when we win. So understanding that you can only develop sharp judgment by having bad judgment, by having sloppy judgment, accept the fact that you're going to make some mistakes in judgment. All right, it's okay. Because when you make a mistake in judgment, you know what you get? You get experience. You get a story that you can tell. And if you're a sharp individual, if you happen to be listening to my voice right now, I consider you to be a sharp individual. Because see, people who are not sharp, people who are not on point, they wouldn't still be listening to me 25 minutes into this episode. So since you're listening, I'm pretty much sure, I'm a 99% sure, I would bet money that you're a sharp, on point individual. So when you make a mistake in judgment, and you will make mistakes in judgment, I don't care how old you are, how experienced you are, you will make mistakes in judgment in life as long as you're doing new things and trying new things and expanding your horizons. When you do, you, sharp individual, will not make that same mistake twice. That's what I know. Making a mistake is fine. Making the same mistake over and over again is not fine. All right, that means you're somewhat of a fool. I don't think you're a fool. Ain't no fools in the game group. You must develop the skill of seeing things before they happen and seeing things that are not making themselves obvious. Watching the TV show Shark Tank. If you've watched the show before, you know what it is. If you haven't, Shark Tank is a show where entrepreneurs come on the show and they make an offer of whatever business they're running to a bunch of millionaire and billionaire sharks who have money to invest, who will buy into their companies to help expand their businesses. And Barbara Corcoran is one of the sharks on Shark Tank. She's a woman who started the Corcoran Group. She is a real estate mogul. Let's just keep it short. You can Google her and find out more about her if you wish. But often what happens on the Shark Tank show is Barbara will be sitting quietly listening to the entrepreneur make their pitch of their business. They're asking for X number of dollars for a certain percentage of buying into their business. And Barbara, many times this has happened. I've been watching the show and she'll say something like, you know, your business sounds good. Your pitch sounds good. I like the numbers and what you're offering, but something about you that I don't trust. Something about you that I don't like. Something about you that tells me that I should not trust you. I should not do business with you. I should not get involved with you. And because of that, I'm out. I'm not offering you any money. I'm not doing any business with you, even though everything else sounds good. What is Barbara telling you? Barbara is telling us, the TV audience, and that entrepreneur who's standing there in front of the room, She's letting them know that my judgment skills, my perceptions, my ability to solve mysteries, and my experience in doing so is telling me that something about you is just off. Even though it is not completely obvious to me what it is, something's telling me no, so I'm going to err on the side of caution and not deal with you at all. Now, is she right? We don't know, because I don't go and follow whoever these entrepreneurs after the show airs, and who knows how long ago this got filmed when the thing actually happened. But Barbara says, because of my experience with life, my experience in dealing with people, my experience in business, my judgment experience tells me something about you ain't right. I don't know what it is. It is not clearly obvious, because nobody else said the same thing that I said. They're all looking at the same person that I'm looking at. Something tells me no. So I'm going to step away from this situation. Maybe she's right. Maybe she's wrong. But one thing you cannot say about Barbara, one thing you can say for sure about Barbara, let's say that, is that she trusts her own judgment. My question to you is, do you trust yours? Point number 3. Today's topic is discernment, the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well. Point number 3, you got to learn how to trust yourself. Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank, she trusts herself. So when she says that something about you ain't right, she just doesn't trust you, or there's nothing you can say that's going to change her mind. She decided that she doesn't trust you, and that's pretty much over. Now, you got 4 other sharks you can sell your company to, so don't worry about it. But trusting yourself. Understand that judgment is about, as I've already said, making decisions that are not always so black and white. There's a whole lot of gray in between, and you must be secure in making a choice that is in a gray area. It is not black and white as to what's right or wrong, because if it was, you wouldn't have to make a choice. It'd be very clear what your choice is. But when it's gray, you got to make a judgment call. And you got to be secure in yourself that your judgment is accurate, even when you're not sure. Many people in life fail in judgment because they're afraid of making a wrong choice. But the problem here is the only wrong choice. Often in life, the only wrong choice is no choice. Trusting yourself means deciding. And even when you're wrong, accepting that you made the best possible decision you could have made given the information you had available to you at that period in time. Let me say that one more time. This is a very important point. Discernment is about trusting yourself, making a decision with finality, and even when that decision ends up being the wrong decision, accepting that you made the best possible decision you could have made given the information available to you at that time. As I just told you, Barbara on Shark Tank, when she says, I don't trust you, I'm not doing business with you because something about you seems off. Listen, the person that she says she doesn't trust, Mark Cuban, might do a business deal with that same guy and turn a $10 million company into a $1 billion company, and Mark cakes off of the whole thing. And he can rub it in Barbara's face, say, Barbara, you idiot. You say you didn't trust this guy. I'm going to make $100 million with this guy. You know what Barbara can say back to Mark? She can say, congratulations on your financial come up, Mark, but I want you to understand something. I made the best possible decision that I could have made given the information I had at that time, trusting my own judgment. And she can she can sleep well knowing that. Maybe she missed out on that $100 million, but she had to trust her own judgment. And she can go make $100 million with the next entrepreneur. All right, money gets printed every day. So you have to trust yourself in knowing that even when you make a call that ends up wrong, hey, you know what? Given the information I had at the time, given what I knew at that time, that was the best decision. Now I got some new information. Maybe I can make a different decision next time. There's a really good book that will help you in this whole skill of discernment and judgments and developing some principles that will help you make your judgments. The book is called Principles. That's the title. Principles. The author is a guy by the name of Ray Dalio. Spell it how it sounds. The book is called Principles. I would really suggest you read that book. I suggest you read that book about 3 or 4 times. It'll help you learn a whole lot of stuff. And now I'm back into my stuff now. I'm not talking about Ray Dalio. Every experience that you go through in life better prepares you for your next point of decision making. That's why experiences should be mined for what you can learn from them. You go through an experience, whether you won, whether you lost, whether you failed or you succeeded, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? What did I learn today that I did not know when I woke up this morning? What did I learn when I'm going to when you go to sleep at night? Ask yourself, what did I learn today that I didn't know when I woke up? Going through this experience, the one that you won or the one that you lost, the one that came out the way that you wanted it to, or the one that didn't turn out quite the way you expected it. What can I take from this experience to better sharpen my judgment in the future? Let me give you that question one more time. You should write this one down. You should start using it every time you go through a new experience. What can I take from this experience that will better sharpen my judgment for the future? Because every experience you go through that you do not mine that experience for new knowledge to help you make better judgments in the future, it is a wasted experience, meaning you just took some time, the most valuable resource you had, and you wasted it because you learned nothing from it. And that's a damn shame. Let's recap today's topic, which is the skill of discernment, defined as your ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well. I talked about in Masterclass 1139, what takes more than hard work? Choosing wisely. Discernment as to what to do with your 5 investments of time, money, attention, energy, focus. Bad choices of judgment cannot be undone with hard work. Point number 1, your judgment and your perceptions, your discernment lead to choices. Choices create your life. You choose who you're going to get involved with. You choose your friends. You choose how to spend your discretionary resources. In aggregate, the choices that you make shape your life. If you call yourself an adult, you're age 21 or older, you are a grown man or a grown woman, 100% of your life is choice-based. Even if the choice is just how you choose to look at a situation that you may not be able to tangibly change. Point number 2, solving mysteries. Discernment is about mental sharpness, or what we call, in our culture, we call it being on point. Many times in life, you will be shown something that is not perfectly clear. You will have to decipher what's really going on, but understand that any mistakes and delays that you have in deciphering what's really going on in the situation, they will cost you. So you must develop the skill of seeing things before they happen and seeing stuff that is not making itself clear to you. Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank says things like, I don't trust you. There's something about you that I don't like. That is her skill of discernment speaking. Maybe she ends up right. Maybe she ends up wrong, but it is her best judgment. And you must learn to, point number 3, trust your best judgment. Judgment is about making decisions that are not always so black and white. There's a whole lot of gray area in life, and being secure in the choice that you make, even when you're not sure about it. Many people fail in judgment in life because they are afraid of making the wrong choice. But often the only wrong choice in life, ladies and gentlemen, is making no choice. Trusting yourself means deciding, and even if you end up being wrong, accepting the fact that you made the best possible decision you could have made given the information you had at that point in time. And every experience you go through better prepares you for the next decision that you got to make. And let me tell you a decision that you should make. Make sure you tune into the show again tomorrow. Work on your game. Dre all day.